And we are live once again. Hello and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome once again to Do-It-Yourself Budget Hot Rodding. That's right, folks, Do-It-Yourself Budget Hot Rodding, where we take a look at how we can take and make modifications to our cars and hopefully do it on the tightest budget imaginable, because custom cars should never be unobtainable. If you like cars, if you like trucks, there we go. If you like cars, you like trucks, Jeeps, I don't care if it's got four wheels, even two wheels. This should feel like home to you. And Galaxy is right here in the picture with us. So she's going to stop the show for just a moment. We all love Galaxy. This is one of the rare times with Princess Faye didn't have to drag her in. Princess Faye is at work right now. Now, Galaxy, am I going to be allowed to work here? Can I work? Okay. I'm going to have to scoot back a little bit from camera, a little bit more than usual, so you all can see the brand new spindles. And we're going to talk about some of the... Yeah. Actually, she's not quite a baby. Actually, she's just a small kitten. Her mama was small, too, actually. I think all total, I think she's almost 2 now. She's almost 2. We've had her a couple of years, and just love her to pieces. I mean, by cat standards, she's probably in her late teens. Yeah. Oh, she's one of our little babies. Yes, indeed. And of course, the big one, Tabor, he's floating around here someplace. Okay. I spent almost $400 for this set, but it was well worth it. You cannot order, you can't get these anymore in a junkyard. You can't. Actually, it's really hard to get a lot of this stuff anymore for the Mavericks. They didn't even make spares for these. Really? Anyhow, they didn't really make spares for these. Okay? So if you went into an auto parts place, even with a newer vehicle, you're most likely not going to find it. This is basically one of the spindles that will bolt onto Project Spirit and accept disc brakes. She still has front drum brakes, just like you see on the old cars on the rear. Well, she has the same style brakes up front. Got tons of video footage of that sort of thing. But this is part of what has to go on her, okay? And of course, everything will bolt directly right onto here. And I'll actually get out some of the parts and kind of explain what each part does, okay? So that it's not, you'll see how it all comes together and why this is one of the major pieces that has to be put onto Project Spirit. So I'm going to actually go into detail explaining how brake systems work. So, and I'm actually going to use the parts that's going on to Project Spirit as my illustration here. So let's get underway. First things first, if I can just remember where I put this. Yes, this is one of the calipers, which we got from our friends over at AutoZone. And this must be, oh, that's one of the calipers. I bet that was a master cylinder. Either way, we're going to need it. Okay. Ah, yes, that is one of the calipers, but we won't need that one right there. We will need this, and we will definitely need one of these to explain all of this. Okay? If you've never seen a rotor for a 1975 Ford Maverick, well, we're going to do that right now. Now, in the old days, with the Mavericks, disc brakes were an option. Today, it's standard practice on vehicles, obviously. They even go so far now to put them on the rear. Myself, personally, I'm not a big fan of, but that's just one of them things. This big burly son of a gun will actually slide onto that spindle, and basically where that blue cap was will jut out this front part, and to hold it from wobbling around on there, there's these type of bearings that'll rest right in here and right in here, okay? And this will ride on that spindle. And then basically a nut will go on so far with a washer kind of pulling it tight. You put a cotter pin in and it keeps that nut from backing off, okay? And the design behind this is, and this is why we needed the caliper, is this will actually set, as well as I can show you, in a nutshell, right up like that, okay? With the brake pads in place. Now, when you go to press on your, oh, son of a gun, that gets heavy. They didn't make stuff light back then. Good God. What they will do, basically the way the system works, this is your master cylinder. Already got this one painted up to go into Project Spirit. But right back here, when you press in your brake pedal and through a small series of linkages, it'll push this piston in, forcing brake fluid down through the lines all the way down through a proportioning system of some sort. And long story short, it will eventually reach, it'll eventually reach down to here, okay? And the line will connect in right here, and the pressure from the fluid will cause a caliper underneath here, while the piston here to push outward, compressing the brakes on this big son of a gun, and that's what causes your vehicle to stop. Simple hydraulic brakes. This system has been around forever. I mean, we're talking forever. I mean, it's the system that I don't know many cars that don't have it. Now, I know today they're getting into where they're working on electronic brakes. I am not a fan of. I've actually seen these things malfunction. As a matter of fact, my mom had my son, Prince Python, in the back of her car. They're going down the road and the electronic brakes on her brand new Impala locked up, and she didn't know it. The car just felt funny, but it wouldn't completely release the brake, and it nearly caused the tire to explode. And the back tire, in this case, it was on the back calipers that wouldn't completely release. It could have exploded, sending shrapnel and whatever else up into the gas tank. Not necessarily, gas tanks, it's not like in the movies, but it could have been bad. Not necessarily you're going to get a big, explosion, but you could have a serious fire because all that gas is now leaking near the exhaust, and you guys get the idea. So I am not a fan of electronic brakes. This system has worked fine since the beginning of time. I don't see it not working anymore. It's just an opinion, okay? So, if you've ever wondered what your how this system works, this is it. Now, ironically, even though I'm complaining about the weight of this, drum brakes are a lot heavier. Now, I know I mentioned that we're going to talk a little bit about weight reduction, okay? Now, this entire setup, though heavy, is still lighter than the original system that's on Project Spirit. Again, the original system that's on her right now is a drum brake setup up front. Now, what drums do, where, the calipers here will squeeze and compress, and that stops the car. Depending on how hard you push down, depends on how hard the car stops, or how quickly. With drum brakes, there's like, through a series of springs and all sorts of other stuff, there's actually something very similar to a caliper inside there, and it's probably about yay big, depending on the vehicle. It'll compress outwards and kind of push against some brake shoes on the inside of this drum, and that brings the vehicle to a stop. Now, this system is heavy, very heavy. As a matter of fact, the caliper plus the rotor is about the same amount of weight together with, basically, everything connected to this without the spindle and all that actually weighs about as much as a drum. So the drums get very heavy. They do have advantages, but they do have disadvantages. Okay, obviously the weight is a problem. The other problem is that one side will heat up while the other side doesn't heat up as fast. So when you push on the brakes, one side's grabbing exactly the way it's supposed to, whereas the other side is kind of, it's too hot, it's slipping. So when you push down on the brakes, you'll pull one way, and then all of a sudden that side, the other side will have cooled off enough maybe, and now it pulls the other way. So it is a bit of a challenge. I actually have to plan almost all of my stops. As a matter of fact, when people pull out in front of me, one of the ongoing jokes I have is this car does not stop on a dime, but it'll stop on a Buick, so please don't pull out in front of me. Uh, I'm waiting for a funny comment to come up on that one. All right. So, so if you've ever, again, on your smaller vehicles today, these will actually be a lot lighter. Now, real quick, as amazing as disc brakes are, they don't have the surface area that drum brakes do. So drum brakes will stop you a lot better than the disc will in a lot of ways. And they are hardier. They do last longer. As a matter of fact, I've had Project Spirit now going on 3 years. This November, she'll, have been, actually, we bought her in the last week of October. So last week of October, she'll, Project Spirit will have been a part of my life for 3 years. That's a long time, considering her age. Almost forgot where I was going. I've never had to replace brakes, whereas with these, with the disc brakes, I have had to replace them on average every year and a half. And a lot of that's just because they don't have the surface area, and there's a lot of bad drivers out there. So because of that reason alone, disc brakes don't hold up as well. They do cool off quicker, and they do provide a more consistent braking. But if drum brakes are properly maintained, they will stop you quicker than the disc brakes. You're just putting in a lot more weight, and we always talk about fuel economy and increasing performance, more bang for your buck, and this is why everyone went to these. So they do work, and they do work fine. Again, if good brakes are maintained, they will work exactly as they're supposed to, and this will give me great stopping power. It's just going to be more consistent than what I was before. Now, again, Project Spirit will stop on it. I mean, she will kind of stop on a dime. But the problem is one side heats up more than the other, and it does make it a little difficult. And I'm sure there's probably ways to alleviate that. But the other problem is it's also getting harder to get parts for those front drums. So let's just go ahead and skip it and move on to something that's, that I can get parts for. Now, I can get parts for these. Now, real quick, as I said, I had to order off for those spindles brand new. Which came from a company called Mustang Unlimited. Now, no, Mustang Unlimited does not offer Maverick parts. However, the spindles from the 1970 to 73 Mustang and Mercury Cougar will interchange with the Mavericks, ironically enough. The only thing that I might have to do in this case is change out the I might have to change out the outer tie rod ends, which doesn't hardly cost anything, even for the Mavericks. So again, if you've ever wanted to see what a brake system looked like on the old cars, that's about it. Now, some of you may not know this, but Project Spirit does not have power brakes. You have to push down really hard to get that old girl to stop. Now, I could turn her into power brakes. It's just one component and a hose. That's really about it. And I could convert her over to power brakes, but I don't want to. She works fine the way she is, for one. And the other is, why would I want to do that when, in reality, it's one more part that could go wrong. Keep it simple, you know, and I like the simplicity. Now, while we're also on the subject, oh my gosh, these things are heavy. Oh, yeah, y'all get to see me putting this stuff on with my buddy T-Bone. So, now that I'm about got all the parts put away, if any of you have any questions at this point in time, now would be the time to ask. So, real quick, before those questions are asked, if anybody has been wondering why in the world, you know, even though I'm spending, you know, buku dollars on a system like this, the original fact, you know, you could have got the Brembo system or brakes from Willwood. Well, after doing some research, I mean, all total, I'm going to spend about the same amount of money that I'm going to, you know, I would with buying one of those systems. The problem with it is that there's a couple of things that is never talked about with Willwood brakes and Brembo brakes when you do a front disc brake conversion, because not many people do this anymore. Most of the time now, what most everyone else is going to find is vehicles that already have the front disc brakes, typically. So, the reason why we're going to go ahead and spend all of that money on, you know, for a stock setup is because you can get the parts for the stock setup. Okay, it just makes more sense to get, you know, to get the stock setup, put it back the way they would have done it at the factory, and then make your modifications based off the original system, because 9 times out of 10 with the Willwood aftermarket and the Brembo aftermarket, the parts are not always available, and when they are, they're extremely expensive. And that came from some of the various companies that I've talked to looking for these, okay? Now, to do this front disc brake conversion, there was one part that I forgot, and we'll have to order off for it. Actually, it's 2, but it's the same part. And basically, fitting right through this slot right here is kind of a bracket that will hold the caliper in place. There's the one thing I forgot. We got everything else, but this was the one other thing that I forgot. And I might need some sort of a splash guard back here. I don't think I will need it. I think the old ones will interchange. So we shouldn't have any problems there. Again, they put this like this to keep it from getting scuffed up and everything. These things are extremely hard to find. There was actually a company that Mustang Unlimited works with that tooled up and started making these, and they're selling like hotcakes. Okay, a lot of people with even the 60s, you know, the 60s, you know, more of your earlier 60s Mustangs and Cougars and, you know, just awesome vehicles like that are actually swapping over to this particular type of spindle because it holds a bigger brake. Again, I mean, a lot of times, even now, people who restore cars has to take into consideration that there's a lot of bad drivers out there, and our classics aren't being replenished. Okay, they stop. They're classic for a reason. They don't make them like that anymore. And I know that occasionally I get a hater or two that says, well, good thing, because those cars were junk. I beg to differ. A lot more plastic, and plastic doesn't hold up as well as metal. Not usually. Unless you want to start building it all out of Lexan. All right. So, there we have it. That takes care of that. Again, what we're talking about right now is, number one, improving the consistency of Project Spirit's front braking. Along with that, we're also trying to do a weight reduction of sorts. She's probably going to drop about 30 pounds. The equivalent, I guess you could say in this particular case, I mean, 30 pounds doesn't sound like a big deal, but that's less weight that her engine has to move along. So less weight, better fuel economy, and this doesn't get talked about anymore. I don't know why no one mentions it, but there's an old drag racing formula, okay? And in the old drag racing formula is for every 100 pounds your car loses, you gain an eighth of a second better in the quarter mile. I've never tried that. I mean, I don't know how it, but if there's any old gearheads out there that know anything about that, have tried that formula and knows it to be certain, give me a holler. Okay, I'd love to hear that. I mean, I did stupid street racing and I never had to do a front disc brake conversion, so this is a first for me. Now those bearings, real quick, I guess I should probably show what the bearings look like. Oh my goodness. Oh. So now that we've established that Project Spirit, has all these new parts ready to go, and that sort of thing. I'm going to show you all a part that is often neglected and shouldn't be. Okay? If you own a vehicle, do not neglect this part. If you do, you're going to regret it. Okay? And that is your wheel bearings. These should be serviced at least once a year, okay? If you drive your vehicle regularly, once a year, okay? That's it. This piece will go inside. This is actually the back, and will slide inside that spindle. Spindle go well on the rotor, and then a little piece will go right up against this and seal it all off. Goes in. As a matter of fact, the spindle will go in right about like that and just rides on it, takes all the slack out, keeps things from binding up. As a matter of fact, this actually has a spare race. When these wear out, these will grind up and just chew that up. As a matter of fact, this actually goes right inside your rotor, okay? And every once in a while, you got to pound these out and put brand new ones in. But this piece will actually, the new rotors already have it, so I don't have to worry about it. So you'll actually take, so I don't have to do this, but if I was going to have to do it, you have to take a screwdriver or a good chisel and pound the old ones out, which sucks. And then you take and pound these in, which actually goes in a lot easier. Pounding the old ones out, I'm telling you, if you've ever done it, you're going to hate it. But once you get the old ones out, new ones just go right in, right like that. And just literally, it just spins in there. And then the spindle, of course, goes right in like that. Keep these greased. Take them out, clean them once a year. Repack them with grease. If you don't want to do it, your local shop will be glad to do it for you for a fee. Okay? If you ever have one go out, it'll break the spindle. It'll yank the whole thing off. It'll look like something out of a cartoon, where the wheel will be going that way and you'll be going that way, but you won't be going that way for long. Front end's gonna drop down, slam. It's gonna be a horrible accident. So take good care of these things. Now, you might find this interesting, but the one that goes to the front side of the rotor, actually, believe it or not, is smaller. I am German, but I don't speak the language, I'm afraid. All right. So here we have the one that goes on the outside. Pretty nifty, I guess, if you think about it. And it just goes right in, does its job, okay? And these are brand new. When they go in, and take good care of these things. I see people all the time. You hear them going, when they go to take off and go somewhere in their newer vehicle, you'll hear them take off, and you hear clunk, 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 clunk. Yeah, bad parts, brother. You're going to cause an accident. Take care of your vehicles, or they I'm a married man. I shouldn't have to worry about that question. Anyhow, no, this is actually, I'm showing off the wheel bearings that are going to be used in the front disc brake conversion. And I myself, again, I enjoy working on old cars. What kind of car you drive? Tell me about your project. Anyhow, so again, all Spider-Man, nope, Batman, Punisher hat, two of my most favorite comic book characters of all time. Hmm. Anyhow, so now that we've talked about the front disc brakes, how it'll lighten up Project Spirit, provide a more consistent stopping power for whenever. One of the things that always comes up, everyone always tells me, put a V8 in Project Spirit, and it's like, no. Uh, actually, here, hold on. You might find this ironic. This is the type I smoke, 38 Specials, which is actually a cigar similar to Swisher Sweets. If I smoke regular cigarettes, I'll go through 2.5 packs a day. Um, Something about a lot of us old gearheads, which I am getting up there in my years. I actually just turned 39 on the 7th. But something about us old gearheads, we smoke. A lot of us smoke, and we smoke heavy, or we do a lot of chewing tobacco. Um, and you'll see us with our spit. It's ridiculous. We're horrible on our health. Mm. Are you talking about a 38 special? If you don't know where to find it, if you live in the U.S., well, I don't know what your dad's like, so I couldn't tell you. Um, hmm. But anyhow, um, where was I going? Come on, brain cell. Yeah, I'm getting old. It's okay. Yeah, I just turned 39. Anyhow, a lot of us old hot rodders, we smoke. That's why, you'll see me do a lot of stuff where it's like old carbureted engines and everything, and I refuse to give that stuff up. It's easy to work on. Hmm. And anybody who says carbureted engines aren't fuel efficient hasn't met Project Spirit, or a lot of the cars that were out of the 70s. They were built during that gas crisis, and they did an amazing job on doing the fuel economy if you took care of them. V8s that got up around 24 miles to the gallon, and most V8s today can't even get 18. Um, the trucks back then, you didn't worry about gas mileage in the pickup trucks back then. Hmm. Uh, but Project Spirit, once this is done, the next objective will be just completely going through her front end, replacing all of her power steering equipment, because it works, but it doesn't work well. So we're going to replace that. Eventually, we're going to swap out the original 3-speed standard transmission manual to the rest of you, and install probably an automatic, a 3-speed automatic, the C4 automatic. The C4 is well taken care of, and with a shift improvement kit will last a long time if maintained properly. Okay. Um, I myself, I like having her as a stick. I like driving her as a stick. But Princess Faye does occasionally. She likes to drive Project Spirit. And if you've never been on my channel before, Princess Faye is my wife. Okay, and that being the case, Princess Faye does occasionally like to take Project Spirit out, and the the old manual clutch. I'll leave that to your imagination. Oh man. Um, where was I? Oh yeah. She likes to take Project Spirit out, but uh, Project Spirit does not have a hydraulic clutch like we're used to today, where you have the clutch master cylinder and you push it in and it's really easy. No, Project Spirit has the old spring and lever setup with a Z-bar linkage. You have to push in, and you got to push in hard. And that clutch pedal has to go all the way to the floor. And, I'm not a big burly kind of guy, but I've got a lot of leg muscle for doing such a thing. So I have no problem. Princess Faye, she's a little bitty tiny thing. She's not even 5 foot. That looks like maybe Japanese. I don't speak Japanese either. So, so for her, she can't take Project Spirit out as much as she would like to. It's just very difficult for her. She does like driving her as a stick. As a matter of fact, Princess Faye actually learned to drive stick in Project Spirit when she was still a 3-speed man. The old 3 on the tree. Now, if you're not familiar with the 3 on the tree, it's the old stick shift that was on the column. It was literally first, second, third, and reverse was all the way towards you and straight up. It was really cool. And for those who like the paddle shifters in your more sportier cars, or your hyper cars, super cars, whatever, it's kind of like that. Your hand doesn't have to travel that far all the way to a gear shifter, and I know a lot of people like that, like that setup. And because of that reason, I actually preferred Project Spirit as a 3, the old 3 on the tree. But when the linkage broke, it was time to move it to the floor. And now it's got a Hurst shifter in place, so much easier to work with. And all the Project Spirit's manual transmission linkage is actually external, not like today's transmissions where it's all internal. Literally, there's a couple of metal rods that come off of the gear shifter and connect into the side of the transmission, and that's how you shift your gears, which is really cool. I don't have to worry about a clutch fork, wearing out, because, that's why you'll see sometimes whenever we do a walk around a Project Spirit, I'll lay my hand right up on top of the gear shifter. She don't mind. She don't care. With the newer internal linkage transmissions, that's a problem. You can't do that. You'll wear out a clutch fork. You'll tear something up. It's just bad news all the way around. Just one of them things. But anyhow, all right. Does anybody have any questions about brake systems up to this point? I don't know who he is specifically, but he's come on here, and he's actually he's very funny, very nice. I know normally he likes to troll, but when he comes on, he usually throws some real interesting questions at me. Kind of keeps me on my toes. Whether it's, when I'm doing surviving romance, he's always, always asking the right questions, or throwing in some interesting comments, and keeps everybody laughing, keeps the chat lively, which I like. I don't like my chats to, just because I'm doing my thing doesn't mean that I don't want you all to have fun too, because, that's really, I remember Princess Faye a couple months ago. She's like, you really should pick one specific. Hey, what's up? Yeah. I see where this goes. Funny guy. But anyhow. I'm glad you did. Today we're actually going over the brake system that's going to be going on to Project Spirit. I'll go ahead and break them out again for you. These actually are more, this is the spindles. I actually had to buy 2 of them, and we just walked through how it all bolts together. And in a nutshell, this will provide me with a more consistent stopping power once everything's together. The original ones on there will not accept the disc brake setup. I mean, you could put it on there, but there's no way to bolt everything where it's supposed to be. It sucks. That's just the way it is, you know. Um, so they don't sell these at your local auto parts place, folks. I wish they. It would have been so much easier. I spent a year and a half looking for those dang things, and I spent nearly $400 on a set. Which we got a couple more parts to get, and then once everything is in, I don't know if we're going to do it live. If we do, it'll just be kind of like bits and pieces where we'll walk you through each piece. Yeah, this project is this part of the project is getting a little pricey. All total, I'll spend about $900 for an entire front disc brake setup that goes up front. But it'll actually be about the same price as the aftermarket ones. Now, why didn't I just get the aftermarket one that had all the stuff in it? Because a lot of times getting replacement parts for those aftermarket ones is either A, next to impossible because sometimes those replacement parts don't exist, or B, the parts are super expensive, and that is not cost effectiveness. Putting it back the way that that's true, but my car takes me back and forth to work, still takes me to car shows. It's easy to maintain, it's easy to work on. Honestly, I mean, I love cars and I love trucks. I love doing anything I could do stupid in four wheels, if you will. So to me, a PS4 is awesome. However, why play the video game when you could go do it for real? Just my thoughts, you know. Maybe you feel different. I don't know, you know. But I know how I feel about it, and I would rather go out and do it for real, you know. I mean, I'd rather do it for real. Yes, it can get expensive. But, you know, like I know, like on the Need for Speed Underground series that everyone really liked for a while on the old PS2 and the old Xbox and all that, they would have like they would do like these different car, you know, like almost like a car show where it was like, you know, put it in a magazine or something like that. At certain points, you had to make your car look really cool. Project Spirit's got 5 trophies from 8 car shows. I did it for real, you know. And I've got the trophies to prove for it, you know, to show for it. To me, that makes more sense. I still rock the PS2. When the weather's crummy outside and I got nothing to do with Project Spirit, or I just don't feel and I don't feel like cooking, boom, I just break out the PS2 and play Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition. Got some awesome cars on that. I will agree with that. Now, there are some games that I wouldn't mind trying out. The Forza games look a lot of fun. Actually, I actually have for my PS2. I actually have some of the old Sonic games from the Sega era. Which, if you've never played those, you're missing out. Now we're way off topic. Okay, now obviously there is enough time. I didn't want to drag out too terribly long. Who wants to help with a philosophical question? This is a good one now. I know we got a couple people that are kind of. I'm gonna challenge you all with a philosophical question. Okay. Recently, I was watching a guy called Steve Shivs, also here on YouTube, and he does a lot of Star Trek stuff. And he brought up an interesting question about the original Enterprise. Well, the original NCC-10. Yeah. Anyhow. The Captain Kirk ship. We're talking not the Kelvin timeline. He brought up a good point that there are some people saying that that's not the original Enterprise when you start watching the you actually, wow, interesting. But anyhow, he brought up a good point, you know, that the ship was refitted, and he brought up the age-old question, the age-old philosophical question, the ship of Theseus problem. Now, I don't know if y'all know what that one is, and I've kind of heard it before, but I didn't get the detail. I have no idea what that man is saying. Uh, anyhow, but basically, if you know anything about the ship of Theseus, that basically this guy named Theseus took his crew, went over to this island for a rescue mission, and they slayed a minotaur, came back, hailed as heroes, and they kept the ship. Uh, nah, I'm actually a serious minority myself. Um, I'm actually Native American. Not many of us left. Actually, my tribe's almost extinct, and we've talked about that at great length here on the channel. So nobody gets any hate out of me because I know what it's like, you know. Um, but anyhow, back to the ship of Theseus problem, and we're going to apply it to Project Spirit. Basically, this ship was kept seaworthy, and as a plank would rot out for like a couple hundred years, I believe. But as a plank would rot out, they would replace it. Well, when the last plank was replaced, I wish I could understand what he was saying. When the last plank was replaced, the question was brought up, is it still the same ship? Okay. And I know many philosophers have debated it, and it's still a continued debate since the days of ancient Greece. Well, in this particular case with Project Spirit, if I basically at a certain point, not many of her original components will probably be there anymore. She'll either be customized or new parts will be put in to replace the old, and systems will be, you know, every system at some point will be updated. By the time we reach that point, would Project Spirit still be Project Spirit? Would she actually be a different car, or would she still retain what makes Project Spirit Project Spirit? Well, whatever. You know what? Let him talk. Let him talk. You know, I could boot him out. But if he doesn't like Native Americans, that's his own problem. I'm not exactly Christian, my friend, but I don't hold any hate towards anybody. If that's his opinion, let him have it. I personally don't care. At day's end, I'm still Franz Magnum, and he's, you know, that's just how I feel, you know. Nobody has dominion over our happiness, okay? Let them babble on. Just ignore them. Just ignore them. Because eventually someone will read the chat and they'll get upset and they'll take care of it themselves. I don't need to get it, you know, I don't need to worry about it. Besides, he's running up, if he's putting hateful stuff on there, all he's doing is running up my watch time. Ha ha! Good for us, right? Good for the Maverick Nation. Which I don't even, again, I'm not really worried about it. People say whatever they want. Um, you know, I wish I'd have taken foreign language. The only languages I know is good English. Well, I only know English and bad English. Hmm. But anyhow, where were we? Okay, so back to the ship of Theseus problem. Would Project Spirit still be the same car? I'll throw that out there for anybody else. I mean, I love a good philosophy question every now and again. I know where I stand on it. I believe that everything that makes Project Spirit, you know, would still be there. The same ideas that the engineers intended. All we're doing is just making it better or improving upon. I also believe that the spirit of those of the people that built her on the assembly line would still be there, because even if we stripped her down to just the body and the frame, there were still people that built that body and frame at some point. Even if we replaced the entire, to me, the spirit of Project Spirit would still be there, okay, regardless. And that's where I stand on it. So, anybody wants to throw a good comment at me, go right on ahead. I'm always open for that, okay? And I see I still got a couple more people still left in here. So, again, I haven't. Um, it looks kind of Japanese to me. I mean, I don't. I wish I. Uh, can you type in English, my friend? I mean, I don't. I don't understand your language. Wish I did. I'll have to look it up afterwards now. Doggone it, making me work. For the record, all the Oriental languages that write in that calligraphy style, I do find the writing very, very fascinating. It's just beautiful writing. That's just the way I am, anyhow. So, I guess at this point we're getting close to that spot. But since we have people on, questions are out there and that sort of thing. We've talked about. We've showed a lot of the new parts again, which I've got the new master cylinder ready to go. And I might have to clear it, which light color sanding, whatever. And got to paint the calipers and got to do the spindles. Believe it or not, that stuff will rust if you don't paint it. And remember, Project Spirit does car shows, okay? We have showed Project Spirit's trophies here on the channel. Again, she's a good looking car. Well, there we go. Well, you're upsetting people. So we need to, you need to calm down, brother. Okay? I'm not, we don't need to, at some point, I'm going to have to, if you want to, basically, if you want to be here, you know, let's be respectable. I mean, if you got any, let's put it more like this. If you've got nasty things you want to say to me, go send me an email to princemagnum1@gmail.com. I'll send, we'll talk it out, okay? Whatever your problem is, I don't know what what exactly is going on here, but there's no need. This, as I will say, the Prince Magnum channel is all about having fun and enjoying life to its fullest, and I'll just say it like this. Hate has no place when you're having fun. Can't be hateful and grateful at the same time, you know what I mean? Some people never learn. So, I'm gonna put it like this, son. You calm down. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. There we go. And problem solved. All right. We're doing the live stream right off the right off the phone that I use pretty much for everything, really. Um, Now, real quick, I guess since we're here now, that sort of thing, let me grab my moccasins, because yes, I still wear moccasins. And if you all want to see the old girl, you want to see Project Spirit, I know that's what a lot of people love seeing. Actually, I might even just skip the moccasins. Gosh dang, it's a disaster here in the office. Let's take a walk. Okay? Let's take a walk to Project Spirit. I got to do some cleaning on her, but she's still got it where it counts. That is all that matters to this guy right here. Oh, there we go. All right, let me, bam, just like that. There you go, folks, Project Spirit. My 1975 Ford Maverick. Four-door. A lot of people are not really fond of the four-door Mavericks. I am. Project Spirit does an amazing job getting me from to and from work still, even after all this time. And she rides nice. And here, give me a second here. Right there, there's those old drum brakes that are on the front. You can actually see the drum itself, and we're getting ready to get rid of that. Princess Faye's amazing artwork right there. Well, she did that with the old pinstriping. And on this side, we actually have a hub slowly wearing out, so she shouldn't even make a noise. And when you're going down the road, you can hear it starting to wear a little bit. But the wife actually put that pinstriping on herself and followed the body lines down. I'm really proud of her work. She did an amazing job. And of course, the Maverick logo. Now, real quick, for those who like, probably wondering what that is. Why, the horns. Originally, years ago, there was a gentleman by the name of Samuel Maverick. I believe it was in the 1940s. At some point in the 1940s, he ran a cattle ranch and decided he didn't want to brand his cattle. And because he was doing something different, that's where it boiled into, Mavericks are unorthodox and free-spirited, which is how Project Spirit got her name. And, of course, her interior, my old gear shift. We just put that boot in. I just put that in, cleaned it up real nice, and put that in. And push in the clutch and the brake. You can actually hear the rods when it goes through each gear. That's reversed. Kind of weird. First, down, all the way over. Second, third. So I'll be in first and you'll hear me go like that to second, and there's third. Only 3 gears to operate. Very simple and easy to use. And if we crawl, I don't know how well the camera's going to pick it up. We're going to try. But if you get down all the way under here, oh, well, it'll pick it up. Probably not. It's not going to pick it up, but you can actually see the rods that connect into the side of the transmission, and the shifter itself is actually bolted to the standard transmission, right by the tail shaft. So there you have it. All right, let's go on back upstairs. So there you have it. Project Spirit. She don't look like much right now, but she's getting there. The main thing is to worry about the mechanics of it all. That's my thing. The mechanics of the old girl. She's a good car and runs great. Very fuel efficient, believe it or not. And I enjoy driving her. definitely a conversation piece. Of course, some people will still swear up and down I should do the V8, and that may happen, you know, some years down the road. But for right now, I'm enjoying the inline six, and we're definitely talking about rebuilding the old inline six inner and making some major changes to that inline six. Balance, blueprinting, resurfacing all the surfaces so everything bolts up real nice. Just awesome stuff like that. And doing a balance and blueprint, it takes it back to the exact specs that the engineers intended with that engine. Throw on an exhaust header, maybe even an aftermarket carburetor, who knows. There's a HEI conversion distributor out there where you can convert your distributor to an HEI, like what's on the old Chevys and other GMs for that matter, and plugs all into the old, right into the old setup, and run it just the same. Easier to work on, great on gas. I mean, and HEI distributors, that's my bread and butter. I actually learned to work on Chevys before I did any other car company out there. I like General Motors more than I do Ford, which I have even considered if I could get it to work, I would actually consider putting a Chevrolet engine into Project Spirit just because, but I think that's kind of being, I don't want to. I mean, part of me wants to do it, another part of me is like, probably shouldn't. Do I hear Chevrolet 350? Anyhow, I like my GMs. For anybody who's on, what's your favorite car company? Let's see. Damn. There we go. So if anybody else is still on, I mean, I don't, this guy seems to be upsetting everyone, and I don't like that. All right. So, unless anybody's got any questions, comments, obviously good ones. Let's see. That pretty well covers it. All right. Be sure to check out my Patreon account. The Patreon account, all the money will go back into Project Spirit, helping her run a little bit smoother and a whole lot better. The objective is to completely redo the front end, so you will have a say-so in how quickly her front end gets redone, which I need to go in there and kind of boost up the tiers and things like that. And maybe even work on that giveaway again, which no money came in, so we couldn't do the giveaway. No one to give it to. For my buddy, the Cadillac Kid, your decal is still over there. I still got it. It just doesn't make any sense for me to put it on right now until we get, I've got it. I'm going to put it on there, but I want to get some work done to the body first, because it'll just get messed up, and I don't want to do that since you spent your hard-earned cash on that decal, so I don't want to do that to you. I definitely want to put it on her back window, obviously with a decal promoting both of our channels. For those who have not checked out Cadillac Kid Productions, definitely check out some of his work. It's very interesting. He's a Canadian gearhead, and They use a lot of American stuff. They do kind of a little bit of everything from around the world, which is really awesome. Okay. And I myself, I love the stuff that he does. It's awesome stuff. If you've not checked out my buddy BST Ford channel or Built Something Ford channel, definitely check out his channel. He's got a Maverick project of his own, and he's getting ready to do an engine swap. but I also know that he's going to need some of the information that's in this video that's going to help him with that project. So my buddy from BST Ford Channel, Built Something Ford Channel, you better take in as much as you can, okay? Because I know you're more used to working on one particular type of Ford. This is old school, and you're going to need all the old school information you can get your hands on. Don't spend ridiculous amounts of money on stuff that you can't maintain. They want you to think it's the best way to go. Okay. Also, there's an excellent chance that the Prince Magnum channel will be at Laz's Bar and Grill this evening. We will be there at Laz's Bar and Grill probably tonight. I will be on stage singing karaoke. If you like the videos of me on stage rocking out, definitely check it out. Always a good time at Laz's Bar and Grill. If you are in the area, come over. High five, fist bump, big hugs, all that stuff. Definitely come out and hang with us, okay? Princess Faye will be there. And I will make sure that I have my pen handy, because we actually had someone who was a subscriber. I did not have a pen handy to sign it on. You know, it's just one of them things. So I will make sure I have my pen handy. I won't do that again. Let's see. Also, if you see me there, you can also ask for a picture with me. Whatever your flavor. I'm pretty well open. You know, it's just one of those awesome things. Let's see. Check out the Patreon account where we'll be today. Tomorrow we will be doing the cafe coffee recipes, making your own coffee syrups and things like that. That is tomorrow. So if you want to really give your sweetheart bragging rights, that awesome coffee drink that you could do at a fraction of the price and really show off for your sweetheart, and so she can have bragging rights with all of her friends when she invites friends over, this is definitely a video for you. We will definitely be live, and I will show you how to make a sweet vanilla syrup, how to make coffee that blow your mind, even if you're using the auto drip setup like I have. Ain't got time to get all that other stuff. So definitely, you want to be here and you want to be with us, okay? Let's see. Also, we will be doing another salad recipe. It is not going to be vegan, I apologize. But it is going to be something interesting, something different. We're going to incorporate poached eggs with some hearts of romaine, and I'm going to show you how to make a vinaigrette even with the egg yolk. So it's going to be really awesome if you you know, if you like salads. Eggs are very healthy, even if even if you're not vegan, they're very healthy for you. That sort of thing. But I will do my best to get some vegan recipes in for all of you, because I know there are some people who do love to watch Surviving Romance, who do enjoy the vegan recipes from time to time. All right. Pretty well covered all that. And as usual, be sure to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this on the playback, we definitely could always use a few more likes. I do apologize for anybody watching and decided to run that through the translator and see how very nasty that was. Don't know why someone would come on and, have to be insulting in another language. That's, to me, that's a little cowardly, but that's just, again, my opinion. So whatever his problem is, I personally don't care. I'm more worried about the people who are here on the Prince Magnum channel and watch regularly. So that's why I shut him off. He don't need to be like that. Real quick, let's see. Anybody else got anything? I was hoping you were still on. Ah. Okay. Um, right on, brother. Bert from Bert TV has poked on. Be sure to check out his channel. His channel moved. He's evidently there was some problems, and he had to redo his channel. And you know, from I've only got to see a little bit here and there. Not really been able to spend a whole lot of time on his channel, on the new setup. But I know that Bert is doing his best to do right by the public. As an old saying that I've said here on YouTube a few times, a YouTube creator can go from hero to villain in a split second if they're not careful. Take a look at those guys from Gas Kings. I mean, they're sitting in prison. I think. I know they were indicted. It didn't look good. But anyhow, so just bear, you know, again, you know, so if you've not checked out the new Bert TV, you might want to do so. You might be surprised at how awesome it is. Love you too, brother. You know, so definitely check out his channel. I know I've mentioned that a couple of times, but I'll mention it again. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and follow me on Facebook. You know, if you follow me on Facebook, you get to see what Prince Magnum is like outside of the Prince Magnum channel. Bert tends to think that I'm different. Honestly, all it is I just ramp up my personality. Okay, so if you've not checked me out on Facebook, you're missing out. Also, again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and that brings us to the spot where I get to say my favorite line in the whole wide world. Get out there and work on a project. I don't care what it is. Just do something with yourself. You know, idle hands and a creative mind make horrible bedfellows. If you have a sweetheart, sweep her off her feet. Or him. It's a new age. Do something special for him today. You know. Just the other day, I took Princess Fair Rose to work just because I wanted to remind her I still love her. And for all of you out there, if no one out there has told you that they love you, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.